Hi friends, I'm here to do a update on what I've been learning in Smart Body, Smart Mind in week 1. I just recorded a video on this and it ended up being 24 minutes long, which is 10 minutes longer than you can post to IGTV. So, learning. And now that I know that, I'm going to try and get this all in 15 minutes. So I had great practice before. My mouth's a little dry. But I'm going to do it anyway. Thank you everyone who supported me in getting to Smart Body, Smart Mind. I raised almost half of the course tuition, and I trust that as I share, maybe you'll find it valuable and decide to support me further, and that would be awesome. So in the interest of time, I'm going to dive right in. First, I want to say these are crazy times that we're living in, and for that reason, I've been finding this work even more important, more relevant, and like really I'm feeling grateful that I have access to it right now and that I can share it with you so that you have access to some of this learning in some way right now as well. So I've got notes over here. That's why I'm looking this way. One of the quotes that, she's got like a quote with every exercise or lab, and this one caught my eye. It's not the stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it. Hans Selye? I don't know how to say it. But it's true. Stress is neutral in some ways. Stress is okay, I'm gonna like backtrack a little bit. We're in relationship to everything. I have a relationship to you, even though you're not really like there yet. You're like gonna see this after it's all recorded and posted, and right now it's just like my phone recording me. I have a relationship to the chair that I'm sitting on. I have a relationship to the desk that you can hear me drumming on. I have a relationship to this cup of tea. I have a relationship to circumstances happening in the world, and that relationship comes out as thoughts. I have a relationship to stresses that happen, and they interact with my body and my nervous system to create whatever it creates within me. That's why a traumatic event might be really, like, let's say the loss of a loved one, might throw one person into this incredible, deep depression, debilitating, and another person might feel their feelings and be sad for a while and then like move through those stages and kind of, we say bounce back. I think of it more as become transformed and go about life more fluidly because they have a more resilient nervous system. So like stress plus unique nervous system equals unique outcome. And our nervous system gets shaped by our experience, especially early in childhood, and the way that we are nurtured or not, the way that our needs are attended to, the way that we're seen for who we are and accepted for who we are or not, and the trauma doesn't have to be big T. I was abused, I was hit. It could just be that my parents pretended I wasn't there, or when I would sing and dance, they would shush me, and so I learned to repress that part of myself. And anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. I'm going to stay on track and talk about what it is that I learned in the first week of Smart Body, Smart Mind. So that kind of actually got into a little bit about the biology of stress. There was a video on that, which I don't feel like I understood it, but I don't feel like I have a master level that I can teach it. Irene Lyon has some excellent free videos that I will link you all to if you want to go and read those yourself. So the first worksheet that we did was on resources and exploring the resources that we have in our lives, whether they're external or internal, to cope with the stresses of life. And examples of external resources could be my cup of tea, which I find comforting. It's nice and it's warm in my hands and it smells good. This one smells a little bit like cinnamon and peach, and a little ginger and licorice. It's kind of sweet. So when I sip it, I feel warm. It's a little spicy. Um, it even tastes comforting to me. So that's an example of an external resource, and it could be really soothing. A cup of hot tea when you're feeling sick, or at the end of the night, or that warm beverage in the morning, a cup of coffee. Food is a big external resource for me. At one point in my life, alcohol was a big external resource for me. Relationships, external resource. In healthy balanced ways and in some not healthy balanced ways. And that's the thing, these external resources in and of themselves are not good or bad. It's the quality of relationship that each of us as an individual has to them that characterizes, I guess, whether it's a positive thing in our life or a negative thing in our life, whether it's giving more benefit or bringing in more detriment. So that's why, some people can have a glass of wine once or twice a week, and other people, because their relationship to the glass of wine is not beneficial. It's more detrimental. And then, excuse me, my throat's a little dry from already speaking for 24 minutes. Examples of other external resources would be like our blankie when we were a child, or the teddy bear. I had a favorite t-shirt that I wore to bed, and I wore it until it was so holy. I'm pretty sure my mom threw it out, and I was very upset. I used to have a favorite necklace for a couple of years, this beautiful labradorite necklace, and it felt really safe and grounding and empowering. It actually broke while I was in the hospital, which has meaning to me because I'm a meaning maker. We all are, which is very empowering. But that was an external resource for me, and I had that aha moment going through this course. So examples of internal resources would be for me, I realize I don't have a whole lot of them, but I do have Vipassana and meditation practice, and that knowing, this deep knowing that everything changes and everything passes, and that with the breath I can breathe through things, and I can go to a place that makes me feel good in my head to help bring me back. And then the breath can also help bring me back to the present moment. And I find it difficult to come up with other examples of internal resources because at the time I don't have a lot of them that I go to on the regular. External resourcing has been really big for me, and I found that that's kind of true for a lot of people in the program, it seems, and probably I would wager a lot of us out there, just a guess. So it seems to me that as this program goes on, I'll develop more of those internal resources as I develop more of a deeper relationship with my internal nervous system and my bodily feelings. Which brings me to orienting, which is the other kind of big part of week one. I would say there were 3 main things, and that was the biology of stress, exploring resources, and orienting. And orienting, I actually was introduced to most recently. I think I've kind of been introduced to it before, but in Jennifer Seymour's polyvagal workshop, we walked around the room and noticed things and just looked, and slowly tissue box, book, coffee cup, camera, phone, plant, walking around naming things. And Irene Lyon has great free resources on orienting that I will link to. And the exercises, some audio that she led us through was very beneficial, and it started with just kind of looking around the room and observing, and then getting more into the body and observing what's around us and our relationship to it, and how observing felt in the body, and how the breath, what the quality of the breath was in that orienting practice. I said earlier that everything, like, we're in relationship to everything. So one of the big things was like noticing how we're sitting in the chair, how our body feels on the chair. For me, I noticed that I tend to pull up, like, and away from the things around me, bringing like my energy more inward. So my feet, when I'm sitting in a chair, are often like tucked back and up instead of like flat on the ground and feeling the ground support. Sometimes even the way that I'm sitting, like, it's subtle, I'm doing it right now, I'm like pulling my muscles up, in my shoulders up to my ears. That's a very like stress response. So that was interesting. Lots of interesting things that I noticed in the orienting exercise. One thing that she said is that the breath is one of those things that it's automatic. We breathe automatically, but we can also control it. And so when she says, like, notice your breath, and I've observed this in yoga classes, they say, just notice the breath. But as soon as I notice the breath, I'm, like, controlling the breath. And I've been told by body workers and whatnot that I've had a shallow breath, and that my breath is tense and contracted, and it's kind of like that fight or flight thing. It's anxiety. It's not feeling safe in an environment. And this orienting really helped me feel safer in my environment. And I'm grateful that I've had other practices that have helped me do that, because there was a time when this would have been really overwhelming for me. And so for those of you who do go to these resources, like, take it slow, and if it feels overwhelming, like, that's okay. It's okay. Just do what you can, and maybe do it with a friend, or, but a friend that's 6 feet away from you, and don't breathe on each other. Or virtually. You could do it virtually. But yeah, it's feeling safe in one's environment is a big part of being present and being able to work with the nervous system and heal. So there were some other things that I was going to share from that orienting that I found really interesting. I'll try and fit them in real quickly. So I noticed, for me, that I was in this quiet space. I was sitting on my bed doing this exercise, moving my head, observing how I felt and what was coming in. And I noticed, like, sometimes when I move my head, intentionally to look a little further, my breath would be deep and there'd be a sigh. Not intentional, it would just do it. And then sometimes my breath would stick, so it wasn't smooth. And then I made the connection that it was happening when a plane was landing. I live in the flight path, and I can see the planes, like the lights of them coming at me, like at my window, or when a car was passing on the street outside. And it made me wonder, in every day, like right now, while I'm focused and in this flow of communicating this material to you, talking with you, and this not so focused on everything else outside of here, how does my system interpret those other things that are happening all around me? The car coming, the plane landing. Does it even notice? Did it only notice then? Did it only kind of pick up on it because my attention was more expanded? And is the power of this focus, like, in the nervous system, like, it's got to be part of ADHD. I don't know. Anyway, I'm coming up on 15 minutes. Thank you for listening. I hope you'll check out the resources because really useful right now. And I look forward to sharing what I learn in week 2. Lots of love to you. Bye.